most people, the idea of retiring near a beach comes from a picture they once saw. Sun, water, maybe a chair facing the sunset. No crowds, no stress, no surprises. Unless this retirement's happened in Bangkok, I guess. That's got a lot of surprises there.
It's a boy! Oh my God, congratulations! It's a boy!
One of these underrated beach towns could be the smartest retirement move you make in 2026 or beyond. Retirement near the water isn't about chasing views these days. It's about finding a place that hasn't collapsed under its own popularity. Towns that still function on Tuesday morning after the weekend crowd left. Today we're counting down 10 beach towns Americans overlook. They're not overlooked because they're bad. They're overlooked because nobody told you about them. Stay with me till the end and let me know in the comment section which one of these would you retire to. All right, let's take a look. Number 10, Reedsport, Oregon. Reedsport enjoys flying under the radar. At least that's the way it seems. You'd think they'd be hyping the hell out of this place considering until 2020 they had been on a 30-year losing streak when it comes to population. They also have a lot of empty storefronts for beach towns, which this is good news for you. If you want to move there, when they got empty storefronts and they're losing population, it means things are cheaper. But in 2020, they did have a little bump in their population. Like most beach towns in Oregon, they sit a little inland from the actual coast. This town sits where a river runs into the Pacific Ocean, and everything about it feels practical. The streets are calm, the buildings are modest, nobody's selling a coastal lifestyle. They're just living one. Sort of. But this is a strange little town. I had brought it up in a video, I don't know, like 5 years ago. And I got an email from a lady who claimed she was on the city council. And she demanded I take the video down. I informed her I could see her name, and I looked her up on the internet. She's not on the city council. She said she used to be. So I went back and looked. She didn't used to be either. But yeah, she's trying to keep the whole place to herself, it appears. Reedsport never chased tourism hard, and that decision echoes through everything. Housing prices never had their big explosive moment. Traffic stays manageable. Local businesses exist for the locals. Now, the weather handles crowd control for Reedsport. Summers stay cool, winters stay gray. That alone filters out people who need constant reassurance from sunshine. Now, they do have one really cool thing there, besides your typical Oregon nature. They have sand dunes, and you can go there and ride ATVs and motorcycles and all that good stuff. I have a lot of friends that have done that. I haven't done that since I was a kid. I do want to do it here in Oregon. Haven't been there yet. Just seen their videos. Looks like a good time. Retirees who choose Reedsport usually know exactly why they're there. They want space. They want quiet in the morning. They want to spend their money living, not maintaining appearances. The average home value in Reedsport is $316,000. Number 9, Gulfport, Mississippi. Gulfport gets judged before it gets understood. People hear Mississippi and right away they stop listening. But Gulfport isn't frozen in time like the rest of the state. It's rebuilt, recentered, and quietly functional in a way many coastal cities wish they were. Yes, storms are part of life here. That's just how it is in the Gulf. Nobody pretends otherwise. But that risk comes with a trade-off most retirees can't ignore anymore. Affordability near the water. Housing here still makes sense. Property taxes don't feel punitive. Daily expenses don't require constant adjustment. You can live near the coast without feeling like one bad year wipes you out completely. Gulfport feels like a place where people solved problems instead of rebranding around them. Wide beaches, normal neighborhoods, grocery stores that aren't trying to sell you an experience, and good southern people. Retirees who land here usually didn't plan to. They looked elsewhere, got frustrated, and ran the numbers and ended up choosing sanity. I love Gulfport. I haven't been there in quite a few years, but it's a good-looking city. Now here's the best part. It's very affordable. The housing is incredibly affordable for a beach community. The average home value in Gulfport, Mississippi is $195,000. Obviously, if you get something right on the beach or a block in from the beach, it's going to be more expensive. Just poking around on Zillow, I'd say within a mile from the coast, you have plenty of nice looking older homes for under $200,000 or let's say under $225,000. They're small, they're older, but they look like they're in good shape. Now, obviously I'm not there checking the pipes and, inspecting the electrical, but they look nice. Number 8, Brunswick, Georgia. Brunswick exists in the gap between places people argue about. It's near barrier islands without being one of them. It's coastal without being dominated by tourists. It has history without turning into a museum. The housing market here never went feral, largely because Brunswick never sold itself as an escape. It stayed grounded, local jobs, local routines, a downtown that feels used, not staged. For retirees, that balance matters. You get access to water, healthcare, and services without paying for someone else's vacation fantasy. Jekyll Island's a pretty cool island. It's out there, it's one of their barrier islands. It's got some nice beaches and a water park. Few resorts on the beach. It's right there on the Atlantic. It's nice. You know what's even nicer? The average home value is $245,000. That's it. And that's down 3.6% from last year. I should say 2024. These are 2025 numbers. 26 ain't out yet. Number 7, Coos Bay, Oregon. Yep, heading back to Oregon. Coos Bay wears its identity openly. It's a port town, it works, things move through it, and because it never pretended to be something else, it avoided the speculative madness that wrecked other coastal markets. Housing here stays within reach because demand comes from the people who actually intend to live there. Retirees, workers, families, not short-term hype. One of the biggest problems that Coos Bay has is they don't have much work out there. So they don't have a bunch of tech companies or anything like that. So it's ideal for retirees, people who don't need jobs. The climate keeps things steady. Summers don't spike, winters don't collapse infrastructure. Life runs at a consistent pace. This is a place for retirees who value predictability, not boredom. Predictability. So if stability matters more than status, pay attention to Coos Bay. The average home value in Coos Bay, Oregon is $315,000. Number 6, Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Bay St. Louis is just down the road from Gulfport, Mississippi. Bay St. Louis had a choice after Katrina. Reinvent into a caricature or rebuild something livable. They chose livable. The town stayed small scale, streets stayed walkable, local culture stayed intact. It never turned into a gated playground or a tourist funnel. Retirees here don't disappear into developments. They become part of the town. Coffee shops, art spaces, casual conversations. It feels human, the way a good retirement town should be. And you know, for all its problems, Mississippi has some decent people. I have a lot of family from Mississippi. Not near the Gulf, they're up near Meridian. But I know quite a few people from Mississippi, including family. But in Mississippi, taxes remain low, housing stays approachable, and the pace never rushes you. Bay St. Louis feels like a place where life happens at eye level. That's rare near the coast these days. The average home value in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi is $229,000. All right, a quick break from this virtual tour because this matters. If you or someone you care about is on Medicare, pay attention for a second. Recently, the Department of Justice filed a massive fraud complaint against 3 of the biggest Medicare brokers in the country. And according to the DOJ, these companies weren't doing what they had claimed. They told seniors they were offering unbiased help, while quietly steering them towards whatever insurance plans paid the biggest kickbacks. Not the best plan, not the right plan, just the most profitable one for them. That's infuriating, but it also isn't shocking. This system has been messy for a long time, and seniors are the ones paying for it. That's why I recommend Chapter. Chapter exists because the founders' own parents were scammed by this exact kind of nonsense, and they decided to fix it. Chapter is fully independent. They're the only advisors that compare every Medicare plan available to find the one that actually fits you. They advocate for you, not the insurance companies. No pressure, no sales tricks. Just ethical help, and it costs you nothing. This DOJ case didn't come out of nowhere. It shows how broken the Medicare advice system really is. Chapter is doing the opposite of what these brokers were accused of, and that's why I'm comfortable recommending them to you. So if you want real help with Medicare, call Chapter at 916-459-1248. You'll talk to an actual human being who walks you through your options and helps you pick the plan that actually makes sense for your life. Chapter has saved the average senior over $1,000 a year, and they're a free resource for my audience. Call Chapter today at 916-459-1248. Because when the system is broken, you want someone on your side, not someone cashing in behind your back. Number 5, Rockport, Texas. Rockport doesn't rely on nostalgia, but it respects it. The Gulf Coast town balances affordability with warmth, both climate and community. Texas' tax structure helps retirees stretch income, and Rockport doesn't dilute that advantage with unnecessary hype. The town leans into what it already is: fishing, art, birding, local life. Storms are real, but so is preparation. People don't ignore risk. They manage it. That's just how it is in Texas. I'm really surprised Texas took this long to get on this list. They got a lot of good places around the Gulf that need recognition because they are affordable. Rockport attracts retirees who want coastal access without coastal required income like in California, which is insane. In case any of you are waiting, California is not on this list. Matter of fact, if I do the opposite of this list, they'll be all over it. The average home value in Rockport, Texas is $301,000. Number 4, Port Angeles, Washington. I will tell you right now, it's hard for me not to call it Port Los Angeles because that's what we have near where I grew up in Southern California. But it is Port Angeles and it's in Washington. Port Angeles exists on the edge of things. Water on the side, mountains on the other side. That geography shapes the lifestyle. Cooler summers, cleaner air, fewer extremes. This town appeals to retirees who want calm without isolation. There's infrastructure here, ferries, medical access, real planning. And no state income tax, which is always great. You're going to need it because this is a nice place to live, but it's not cheap. But it is coherent. Costs make sense relative to the quality of life. Port Angeles isn't one of those places that rewards impulse moves. It rewards people who think ahead. The average home value here is $443,000. Now, it is more expensive than a lot of the ones on this list, but that's not the end of the world. That's right at about the national average. And just poking around on Zillow, they've got older homes that look like they were built in the 60s, 70s, probably something like that, going for $250,000, $300,000. They don't look like shacks. Number 3, New Bern, North Carolina. You know, it's kind of rare these days to have a positive list without having some North Carolina on it. The thing I like about New Bern is it looks like it's been there a while. You know, they have a lot of older brick buildings that are well maintained. It's a nice looking city and you're near the coast. And New Bern didn't accidentally become retiree friendly. It built towards it. Walkability, medical services, housing diversity, flood planning that doesn't pretend problems away. You're near the water without being consumed by it. Near history without living it. New Bern offers structure, and structure becomes comforting when you stop chasing novelty. New Bern's also a pretty good-sized town with great health care. That's one thing that stands out about this place. That's kind of North Carolina's thing. They have great health care just about everywhere, especially in the Research Triangle up there near Raleigh. New Bern is extremely affordable for being this close to the ocean. It is $273,000 is their average home value, which for a decent state near the water, that's outrageously good. Number 2, Astoria, Oregon. Astoria, not too far from my house. Got to drive through the woods for about an hour or so, and you get to Astoria. I like Astoria. I do not like the bridge there that goes over to Washington. It's very high and very narrow, and it freaks me out. Astoria carries weight. History, architecture, working docks. It feels anchored. That matters in a world where too many coastal towns feel temporary. Prices here are higher, but not detached from reality. People who buy here tend to stay here, not flip homes. They also have the Goonie House here. I went there a couple years ago. They don't let you in, but now someone bought it and they're turning it into like a museum type thing. You can actually go in and see how the house looked back in 1984, 85 when they made the movie, which is kind of cool. But Astoria attracts retirees who want texture in their environment, weather, stories, layers, things like that. This is a great place to be outdoors. Sure, the weather doesn't always cooperate, but it is a beautiful part of Oregon. Almost all the Oregon coast is beautiful. There's plenty of things to see here, plenty of hiking trails, plenty of ocean to look at, along with a nice river. You get to watch these huge cargo ships roll through. I guess float through. Now, if you want to move here, it is a little more expensive. The average home value is $466,000, which, yeah, that's kind of high, but it's not the end of the world, especially if you're living in a beautiful place, right? All right, before we get to number 1, if you're thinking about moving to any of these places, there's a link for Home and Money in the description area below. They can get you in touch with a real estate agent anywhere in the country. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Fort Pierce, Florida. Fort Pierce is what Florida looked like before the volume got turned up all the way. It still works, still functional, still lets regular people buy near the water without financial acrobatics. Healthcare networks are strong, waterfront is real, not staged, neighborhoods still exist outside resort logic. It's great. That's another thing. We were talking about healthcare earlier with North Carolina. Florida has upped their game in the last 20 years when it comes to healthcare. They have just far too many older folks moving down there. And if you're 20, listen to this, as you get older, you need a doctor a lot more than you do when you're 20. So all that stupid crap you're doing right now in your 20s, that's going to catch up with you. Sometime around 42, you're going to get up and you're going to have a pain. You don't know where it came from. You don't know what happened. And if there was a movie and you could do a flashback thing, it'll take you back to when you're like 22 and you fell down a flight of stairs because you were drunk. That type thing. You need a doctor more when you get older. Luckily, Florida's coming through. Insurance remains Florida's wild card, but Fort Pierce gives retirees breathing room that many Florida towns lost years ago. It doesn't shout, it doesn't brag, it just quietly remains viable. If you don't know where it is up the coast from Miami on the Atlantic side, obviously, not too far from Vero Beach. The average home value in Fort Pierce, Florida is $268,000, which is not bad. Just their insurance rates. Homeowners insurance I've talked about on many videos, but it is insane right now. It's a big negative for Florida, but the housing's kind of cheap, so it might be worth it in the end. So what do we learn? The best beach towns for retirement in 2026 aren't trending, they're steady. They don't promise transformation, they offer continuity. If a town still works for people who live there all these years, it usually works better once you stop working. Now I want to hear from you. Which town on this list is already changing? Which one did I miss? So drop a comment. That's where the real maps get drawn. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.